Bix, perhaps the last question for you today. In terms of silver, if you had to have your best guess of how it all ultimately unfolds, do you think it's, JP Morgan has the silver, they let it run? Does someone show up for a piece of metal and it's not there? What do you think is the most likely resolution?
Exactly what was about to happen on September 11th, 2008, in which we have a freezing up of the banking system. That would shut down JP Morgan, shut down the COMEX, the LBMA, all the markets. You wouldn't really know the price of silver. All the contracts would be voided. And I think that's coming. And it could very well be caused by the Deutsche Bank failure. And, Deutsche Bank's, stocks hovering, I think it dropped below $7 the other day from, 50, I think, at the beginning of the year. And that company, again, it's the derivative. It was always the trigger point of the derivatives that was set up in the 90s. Alan Greenspan took all regulation off derivatives, basically to give the banks enough rope to hang themselves, and that's exactly what they've done. So I think the most likely thing for silver to be set free, and the only way silver could be set free, is to destroy the COMEX and the LBMA, the two fraudulent exchanges that allow 400 or 500 to 1 trading in the price of the amount of silver derivatives compared to the amount of silver that is above ground. I don't even measure it, how much is in the COMEX warehouses anymore, because it's, thousands to 1. But just above ground versus how many are traded every year.
Do they even audit the COMEX warehouse, or do we know whether the metal's there? Is it like Fort Knox, which I heard the Treasury's lost 7 out of the 12 audits, and calling them an audit would be generous. Do we know if the metal's even there in COMEX?
That's one of the latest things that I've been thinking about. Jim Willey came out with a blockbuster that all the Fort Knox gold had been basically tungsten coated with gold, and he had all the paperwork on it and all that. And then I'm thinking, well, JP Morgan opens up their own warehouse. They're the custodian for SLV, the big silver. Obviously, they're commingling that silver. But is the silver even there? Ted Butler doesn't talk about, is that real silver, or is it molybdenum bars coated in silver? We don't know, and we have to trust JP Morgan because they're the trustee of SLV. They're the largest, if you look over the last 10 years since Bill Daley left Obama's right-hand side of Obama. That was Jamie Dimon's hitman. The warehouse for COMEX, JP Morgan, has gone through the roof as far as holdings. So it's all up to JP Morgan if any physical silver is in the market at all. And if I was JP Morgan, knowing the fraud they pulled at the not West Point, but Fort Knox, why wouldn't they do the same thing with the SLV silver and the silver they have and all physical silver? So yeah, without trust, see, that's why cryptos are so good. They're trustless systems. You don't have to trust anybody.
Yep. And certainly why, physical metal over a lot of the paper derivatives that are out there, going somewhere, you're getting actual metal, wise thing to do. So Bix, thanks for joining me today. It was great having you on here, catching up again. I would also like to point out to folks that Bix has a new Patreon channel, which I just signed up for yesterday, and a great video on where a lot of the silver comes from. We always hear about the deficits, and in Bix's Patreon channel, which we'll put the link to below, you can dig in there and check that out. And Bix, and just any closing thoughts on how folks can reach you and keep posted?
Yeah, Patreon, or I'm still on YouTube for a while. They're basically defunding everybody. I can't talk about some of the stuff that I can talk about on Patreon. I can't talk about it on YouTube because they'll shadow ban me. Just criminal. It gets to me. But yeah, check out roadtoroota.com and keep up this fight. It's going to get exciting this summer.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you going through the effort. I know it's not always easy to speak the truth, and they throw a bunch of obstacles in the way, but a lot of folks, including myself, grateful for what you do, and we'll stay posted and talk to you soon.
All right, take care.